My dear one, lean in, because these words are not only for your ears, but for your heart, your spirit, and the deepest part of your soul. There will be seasons in your life when God is opening your eyes, not to harm you, not to make you resentful, but to awaken you. To awaken you from the lies of false connections, from the mirage of loyalty, from the bondage of emotional dependency on people who do not value you or honor the divine presence in your life. Because not every smile is genuine, not every embrace is pure, and not every companion is faithful. There are those around you who truly do not care, and God longs for you to see them as they are before they corrupt the innocence of your spirit. God never intended for you to walk blind to reality. He has called you to walk in His light. Yet some of you are walking with people who drag you into darkness, who drain you, who exploit you, who appear only when it benefits them. And you, beloved listener, continue to defend their behavior. Keep hoping they will change. Keep convincing yourself that they love you. But the truth is, they don't care about you, and you know it deep down. God has whispered it to your heart in those lonely moments, in those late-night tears, in those betrayals that cut you like a blade, but still you stay. Now hear this with conviction. When someone doesn't care about you, God will allow their actions to speak louder than their words. God will remove their mask. You don't need to chase people who walk away. You don't need to beg for attention, for respect, for love. Because the God who formed you in the womb did not design you to be a doormat. God called you to be strong, to be dignified, to be free from the chains of false relationships. The first sign of someone who doesn't care about you is indifference. They're not moved by your pain. You can be breaking inside and they'll scroll past your tears like they're watching a show. They don't ask how you are. They don't check in unless they want something. And when you try to share your heart, they roll their eyes. They change the subject. They make you feel like a burden. That's not love. That's not loyalty. That's not the will of God for your life. The second behavior is disrespect. People who don't care about you will mock your beliefs. They'll downplay your victories. They'll highlight your flaws. They will treat you like you're replaceable, disposable, insignificant. And God did not put His breath in your body so you could live at the mercy of human approval. You are precious in the eyes of God. And when someone disrespects what God has created, they are not just offending you. They are dishonoring the Creator Himself. The third trait is disloyalty. They talk behind your back. They smile in your face, but they poison your name when you're not in the room. God sees that. God hears what they say in secret. And let me tell you, no weapon formed against a child of God shall prosper. But you must stop giving your loyalty to those who would betray you for the smallest gain. When God exposes disloyalty, He's not being cruel. He's protecting you from destruction. The fourth is manipulation. People who don't care about you will twist your emotions. They'll gaslight you into thinking you're the problem. They'll guilt trip you into silence. They'll use your kindness as a weapon against you. And before you know it, you're shrinking. You're walking on eggshells. You're afraid to speak your truth. But God does not dwell in fear. God dwells in truth. And where God is, there is peace, not confusion, not anxiety, not emotional torment. The fifth sign is inconsistency. They're hot and cold, in and out, here today and gone tomorrow. They give you just enough to keep you hoping, but never enough to make you feel secure. That's not love. That's control. And God does not bless confusion. When someone truly cares, their presence is consistent. Their words align with their actions, and they show up not only in your sunshine, but in your storms. The sixth behavior is selfishness. Every conversation is about them. Every situation must revolve around their wants, their needs, their plan. And you are just an accessory to their ego. But hear me now. God did not create you to orbit around anyone else's world. God made you in His image. That means you have value, purpose, and a voice that deserves to be heard. Do not stay where your presence is tolerated, but your absence is celebrated. The seventh is envy. People who don't care about you secretly hate to see you bless. They smile when you struggle, and they stay silent when you succeed. And God will show you their hearts through their reactions, through their silence, through their subtle jabs. Don't ignore it. When someone cannot celebrate what God is doing in your life, it's because they never wanted you to rise. And anyone who is threatened by your elevation cannot walk with you into your destiny. The eighth and final sign is neglect. They don't pray for you. They don't defend you. They don't invest in your growth. They vanish when life gets hard. And God says, enough. Enough of begging. Enough of chasing. Enough of tying your worth to people who wouldn't even lift a finger for you. When someone consistently neglects your heart, your soul, your value, they have forfeited the right to walk with you. You've cried enough tears for people who never shed one for you. You've lost sleep over people who rest easy after breaking your heart. You've given your best to people who only gave you crumbs. But God is saying it ends now. This is the season where you reclaim your dignity, where you let go of what is not aligned with your purpose, where you stop asking for love from people who don't even love themselves. And hear me, when you release what doesn't care about you, God will make room for what does. God will send people who honor your presence, who cover you in prayer, who lift you up instead of tearing you down. You don't need a crowd. You just need the ones who are sent by God. And you will know them not by their words, but by their fruit. Because when someone is sent by God, they reflect God's love, God's patience, God's truth, and God's peace. You've been fighting battles you were never meant to fight, all because you're trying to hold on to people God told you to let go of. You're exhausted not because of your calling, but because of your attachments. You are tired because you are dragging dead weight. People who have no intention of growing, of loving, of being accountable. Let it go. Let them go. If someone can walk away, let them walk. Because if they were truly assigned by God, they could not leave. God is not a God of confusion. God does not send people into your life to break you, to belittle you, to ignore you. When people show you who they are, believe them. When their actions scream louder than their apologies, believe what you see. Stop romanticizing their potential. Stop waiting for them to become who you need. They are showing you now. And God is saying, watch. Watch who never claps for you. Watch who disappears when you struggle. Watch who only loves you when it's easy. You cannot fulfill your purpose while being tied to poison. You cannot carry the oil of God while surrounded by those who secretly resent your anointing. You cannot rise while you're tethered to those who pull you down. And that's why this word is urgent, because someone listening right now is wasting their life trying to make people care who simply don't. And God is calling you out of that prison. God is calling you to freedom, to truth, to healing. You are not weak for walking away. You are not mean for setting boundaries. You are not selfish for protecting your peace. That's wisdom. That's obedience. That's walking in the Spirit. And when you do that, God begins to move. God begins to heal the wounds they left. God begins to open doors no man can shut. Because the moment you stop crying over who left, you make room for who's coming. You are not alone. God is with you. Even when people abandon you, God remains. Even when the crowd turns their back, God turns His face towards you. Even when you feel unloved, God surrounds you with mercy. You are not forgotten, you are not invisible, you are not too broken to be restored, but you must stop feeding the weeds and start watering the flowers God has planted. There is power in walking away from what wounds you. There is strength in releasing who does not value you. There is peace in knowing that God sees, God knows, and God will reward. So don't waste another day trying to win the approval of the wrong people. Don't sacrifice your joy for the sake of keeping people comfortable. God didn't call you to be liked. God called you to be set apart. And when you choose obedience over people-pleasing, when you walk in the truth no matter how lonely it feels, when you stand firm even when others walk away, that's when God shows up. That's when God fights for you. That's when God vindicates you. Because no eye has seen, no ear has heard, and no mind has imagined what God has prepared for those who trust Him over man. My dear soul, hear this with spiritual clarity. When you finally open your eyes to the behaviors of those who do not care about you, you are not stepping into bitterness. You are stepping into wisdom. God is not calling you to harden your heart, but to guard it. God is not asking you to stop loving people, but to stop giving your love to those who trample it. There is a holy difference. There is a sacred balance. And those who walk closely with God must learn to discern not just what is good, but what is aligned with God's will. Some of you are being drained not because of your responsibilities, but because of your relationships. And let me speak this into your spirit. Any connection that costs you your peace, your clarity, your faith is too expensive. You cannot afford to walk with those who strip you of your inner strength, who make you second-guess your worth, who silence the voice God placed within you. God has already declared you worthy, chosen, loved, and set apart. When others treat you like an option, God is reminding you that you are not just someone, and they are mistreating what God has ordained. You must understand this. Not everyone who walks with you is walking for you. Some walk beside you only for excess. Some walk with you only for the benefits of your kindness. And when the benefits stop, so does their loyalty. And when their true face is revealed, you cry not because of what they did, but because of what you believed about them. But even in that, God is merciful. God allows disappointments to become divine redirection. What feels like betrayal is often just God's hand removing you from danger you could not see. Let me speak a deeper truth to you now. When you are walking in obedience to God, you will lose people. Not because you are unkind, but because your spirit irritates those who are comfortable in their dysfunction. Your growth exposes their complacency. Your peace threatens their chaos, and your light makes them confront their own shadows. And so they retreat, they attack, they belittle. But do not be shaken. For every person who walks away, God is drawing you closer to purpose. God never designed you to chase those who walk away. When people leave, let them. The same God who watches the sparrow fly is watching you mourn what He already removed. Stop picking up what God has told you to release. Stop planting seeds in soil that is proven barren. God is not just the giver of good things. He is also the remover of harmful things. When someone exits your life, do not only ask why, ask what God is making room for. Every ending carries the seed of a greater beginning. There is a powerful deception the enemy uses. He convinces you to lower your standards in the name of love. He tells you to tolerate neglect, to excuse disrespect, to absorb constant pain, all in the name of keeping the peace. But peace without dignity is not peace. It is imprisonment. God is not the author of such confusion. God calls you to love. Yes, but never at the expense of your own soul. You are called to compassion, not to self-destruction. You are called to patience, not to passive suffering. And let me say this boldly, your kindness is not a weakness. Your loyalty is not a flaw. But giving it to the wrong people turns your strength into sorrow. That's why God urges you to walk with wisdom. Love must be intentional. Mercy must be guided. Forgiveness does not mean allowing someone to keep access to the sacred parts of you while they continue to defile them. God wants you healed, not just hospitable. You can love from a distance. You can release and still wish them well. That is strength. That is obedience. Some of you are clinging to relationships that God is actively trying to end. You cry out for peace, yet hold on to chaos. You ask God for clarity, but keep inviting confusion to your table. Let me speak into your life. Not everyone deserves a seat in your sacred space. Your heart is not a revolving door. Your presence is not common. And God is calling you to protect what He has placed within you. That means some invitations will need to be revoked. Some access must be denied. And I know it hurts. It hurts to outgrow people you once called family. It hurts to release those you prayed for, fought for, sacrificed for. But remember this, the same God who allowed them in for a season is the same God removing them for your protection. God sees what you cannot. God hears the words you don't. And God knows the weight of unseen betrayal. So when God closes the door, don't force it back open. Let Him be your guide, your filter, your protector. You are not being abandoned. You are being aligned. You are not being punished. You are being preserved. God is not taking from you. He is making space for what is worthy of your purpose. You cannot carry dead relationships into divine places. You cannot drag yesterday's poison into tomorrow's blessing. The price is too high and the calling on your life is too great. Let them go. Let God do what only God can do. Heal you, elevate you, and surround you with people who reflect His love. Now, hear me with unwavering certainty. God never intended for you to walk alone. But before He sends the right people, He must first remove the wrong ones. Before He pours fresh oil, He must first clean the vessel. Before He surrounds you with those who pour into you, He must first show you who only came to drain. You have to go through the pruning. You have to walk through the fire, but it is not to destroy you, it is to refine you. There is a new season on the horizon. A season where you no longer cry over who doesn't care. A season where you rise with clarity, walk with purpose, and speak with boldness. A season where you no longer question your worth based on the treatment of others because you know who you are not through their words, but through God's truth. You are chosen, you are called, you are protected, you are enough, you are not what they said. You are what God declared. So I speak this into your soul from this day forward. No more tolerating what wounds you. No more calling dysfunction loyalty. No more seeking validation from the blind. You are free. You are whole. You are walking into a season where God will surround you with those who see your worth, value your presence, and reflect His peace. And you will know them not by their charm, but by the peace of God that follows them. Keep walking in truth, even if it means walking alone for a while. Keep choosing peace over popularity. Keep trusting God even when you don't understand the why. Because the same God who allowed you to see their true colors is the same God who is painting your future with promises. Let the pain of the past become the strength of your spirit. Let the rejection become redirection. Let the heartbreak become healing. For what lies ahead is greater than what lies behind. You are not too late. You are not forgotten. God is just preparing the foundation for something greater. And all those who walked away, they were never the builders. They were only passing shadows. But God is the architect. And when He builds your future, it will not be shaken. When He establishes your peace, it will not be disturbed. And when He brings people into your life, you won't have to question their love. Because real love, God-sent love, will not confuse you. It will cover you. It will strengthen you. It will glorify the God who brought it into your life. There is a moment in every soul's journey when the fog must clear, when the veil must lift, when the heart must stop lying to itself. And in that sacred moment, God demands honesty, not just with the world, but within. Because you cannot walk in divine truth while clinging to human deception. You cannot claim to be seeking God's will while holding tightly to what God has already exposed as a hindrance. And hear me now, this message is not for the faint-hearted. It is for those who are ready to stop entertaining what is draining, to stop making space for what is sent to distract, and to stop calling what is dysfunctional normal. So many stay trapped because fear keeps them from facing the truth that not everyone is destined to walk with you into the places God is calling you. And that battle is one you must win, not before your critics, but deep within the chambers of your own soul. God will not force you into peace while you keep entertaining disorder. He will not usher you into the next chapter while your heart still clings to what belongs to the old one. This is an invitation to grow, to break destructive cycles, to gain clear vision, and to stop giving access to people who dishonor the sacred doors of your soul. When someone doesn't value you, their spirit reveals it long before their words do. Yet too often we wait for a confession when God has already laid the evidence before us. You are not blind. You are simply hesitant to accept what your eyes already see. But denial comes at a heavy price. It will chain you to past wounds. It will make you worship potential instead of embracing reality. And God does not dwell in illusions. God is truth. And when truth arrives, every lie is forced to bow. Do not confuse history with destiny. Just because they've always been around doesn't mean they are meant to stay. God doesn't preserve relationships based on length of time. God preserves based on alignment. And when a person's spirit no longer aligns with where God is taking you, separation becomes holy. Releasing becomes obedience. Letting go becomes praise. And in your release, you are telling God, I trust you more than I trust my own desires. We must understand that the walk with God is a walk of constant shedding. Shedding illusions, shedding attachments, shedding false peace. Because the more you walk in truth, the more uncomfortable you become with anything that disrupts the stillness God places in your soul. And people who don't care about you They always disrupt that stillness with their indifference, their disrespect, their inconsistency. They carry a spirit of instability. And God is not the author of instability. Let me say this with unshakable clarity. Being kind does not mean being silent in the face of dishonor. Being faithful to God does not mean tolerating dishonesty. You can forgive and still walk away. You can wish them well and still choose peace. That's not cruelty. That's clarity. And clarity is the gift God gives when you stop negotiating with your worth. Clarity is the power to see people not through the eyes of pain or hope or nostalgia, but through the eyes of truth. And when God gives you that sight, everything changes. This is your divine wake-up call. Some of you have been making excuses for behaviors that God has been trying to remove. You've been praying for peace, but entertaining people who thrive in dysfunction. You've been asking for clarity while drowning in mixed signals and broken boundaries. And God is saying enough. Enough of playing small to keep others comfortable. Enough of compromising your purpose for company. Enough of settling for presence without investment. You must understand, God will never ask you to keep watering what He is trying to uproot. And sometimes the greatest act of faith is walking away from what you once prayed for because God showed you it was never truly meant for you. You are not failing by letting go. You are not weak for choosing solitude over chaos. You are being prepared. You are being set apart. You are being preserved for what God has ahead. Do not mourn the loss of what God never endorsed. Some people were blessings, others were lessons, but both were part of the plan, and when you truly walk with God, you begin to realize that no one leaves your life without purpose. Some exits are protection, some departures are preparation, some losses are launches, and you will never step into what is next until you stop clinging to what's already expired. And don't mistake God's silence as His absence. Just because He hasn't revealed what's next doesn't mean He isn't working. God is often quiet when He is building. God is often silent when He is shifting. And while you cry over who left, God is preparing who's coming. But you must pass the test of release, the test of trust, the test of walking away without needing closure from the person because you already got confirmation from God. Let me speak to the pain in your chest, the ache in your spirit. It's not the end. It's the breaking before the blessing. It's the cutting before the cultivation. And though it hurts now, what's coming will make sense later. God never removes without replacing. But He doesn't just replace people, He replaces the broken version of you that thought you needed them. And when the healing begins, you'll look back and thank God for every closed door, every betrayal, every exit, because it was in the loss that you found your true self again. People who don't care about you cannot help you grow. They stunt your vision. They drain your fire. They mute your prayers. And their assignment was never to build you, but to test you. And once the test is passed, the season ends. And if you hold on beyond the season, the blessing turns into bondage. You don't need another round of the same heartbreak to believe what God has already shown you. Walk away now so you don't have to crawl out later. God is holy, God is wise, God is just, and He doesn't want His beloved walking around wounded, confused, empty, and begging. You are not a beggar. You are not forgotten. You are not someone who must earn scraps of love. You are already loved by the eternal, already chosen, already seen, already enough. Stop giving the power of God's affirmation to people who can barely affirm themselves. You're not too much. You're not too sensitive. You're not too intense. You are exactly who you are meant to be. And the people who are meant to walk with you, they won't fear your light. They will reflect it. They will honor Him. And they will point you back to the God who placed it in you. You won't have to chase, beg, or explain yourself. Real love, God-ordained love, will recognize the divine within you. This is a sacred turning point. This is the moment you stop trying to fix what was never yours to fix. This is the hour you stop carrying guilt for seeing the truth. And this is the season you return to yourself. Not the broken, fearful, approval-seeking self, but the powerful, God-centered, healed self that knows when to walk away with grace and stand tall in peace. God is not finished with you. This is not your defeat. It's your reset. This is not your failure. It's your preparation. The shaking you feel is the old foundation crumbling. And when God is finished, you will stand on ground so steady, you will wonder why you ever tried to build on the sand of people's opinions. And now, beloved soul, let your spirit rise from the place where it was once trampled. Let your mind ascend from the confusion that once held it hostage. Let your heart be revived by the eternal truth that if God has removed it, you never needed it. What you thought was love was a lesson. What you thought was your future was only a temporary chapter. And now God in divine mercy and unmatched wisdom is calling you to graduate from the pain, not dwell in it. The classroom of betrayal is not your home. The pit of disappointment is not your destiny. You have lingered long enough in the land of sorrow. Now is the time to step into the land of discernment. When someone shows you that your tears don't move them, your voice doesn't matter to them, and your loyalty is met with silence, do not argue with that reality. Accept it. Let God's revelation replace your fantasy. Because the longer you entertain what doesn't serve your spirit, the more you delay what God is preparing for you. Some of you are praying for a harvest, but your hands are full of thorns. God cannot place something sacred into hands that won't let go of what is damaging. You were not created to carry everyone. You were not designed to be the emotional dumpster for people who only show up to dump their pain and disappear when you need a word of hope. There is nothing righteous about overextending yourself to people who never plan to pour back. The energy you give, the prayers you offer, the love you extend, it is not cheap. It is sacred because it flows from the breath that God placed in you. And anything that flows from God must be handled with care. You are not wrong for expecting reciprocity. You are not arrogant for recognizing your value. You are simply walking in awareness. Awareness that your time, your peace, your spirit all belong to God first. And when people mishandle what belongs to God, you must take your hands off the wheel and let God drive the separation. Stop fighting what He is trying to finalize. Stop defending those He is exposing. Stop fixing what He's breaking apart for your salvation. Because not all endings are losses. Some are divine rescues. And every time God removes someone who doesn't care about you, He is clearing space for peace to enter, for clarity to reign, and for strength to rise again. Hear me now. The silence of some people is not just neglect, it is a message. The delay in their response, the absence of their presence, the disinterest in your growth that is not oversight, that is intentional, and your spirit knows it. You feel the imbalance. You sense the one-sidedness. And yet you convince yourself to give it one more try, one more chance, one more day. But that day turns into month, and those months turn into years. And all the while, God has been standing beside you, waiting for you to believe what He's been showing you. God is not emotional confusion. God is not the spirit of guilt. God does not want you enslaved to emotional turmoil masked as friendship. God is truth, and truth liberates. Truth doesn't keep you guessing. Truth doesn't leave you wondering if you matter. When people are sent by God, they reflect the peace of God. They speak life, not drain it. They give joy, not grief. They sharpen your soul, not strip it of its strength. You must understand that the most dangerous people in your life are not always the loudest enemies. They are the silent betrayers, the ones who don't fight you, but also never fight for you, the ones who never slander you, but also never speak up in your defense, the ones who are close enough to know your heart, yet distant enough to watch it break and say nothing. And if you are not careful, you will start believing that this lukewarm loyalty is love. But God's love is not lukewarm. God's love does not leave you anxious. God's love brings peace even in storms. So, child of God, rise from the table where love is no longer served. Stand up from the conversations where your soul has been silenced. Step away from the connections that only take and never give. And when you do, you will feel the breath of God fill your lungs again. You will feel strength return to your bones. You will feel the chains of guilt, shame, and confusion begin to shatter. And what's left will be something holy, something pure, something rooted in truth, not fear. Let me tell you something sacred. When you release what doesn't care for you, God releases what does. But the replacement never comes before the release. There must be a death before resurrection. There must be a closing before the opening. And though it may sting to walk away from what's familiar, it is better to walk with God in uncertainty than to stay with people who make you question your worth. And hear this clearly. God never called you to be anyone's emotional crutch, punching bag, or backup plan. You are not someone's afterthought. You are not a placeholder. You are not a seasonal comfort. You are divinely formed, uniquely chosen, eternally loved. And anyone who fails to see that is simply not aligned with your assignment. Their inability to value you does not reflect your value. It reveals their blindness. So stop mourning over the ones who didn't see you. Stop losing sleep over those who had access to your soul and did nothing but damage it. And stop handing your future to those who were never even grateful for your presence. Let God be your compass again. Let God restore what they tried to drain. Let God take His rightful place in your decisions, in your boundaries, in your circle. And once you do, you will begin to see miracles unfold. Because God blesses obedience. God honors clarity. God responds to the soul that finally chooses to walk away from dishonor and into destiny. And when you align with that, you will never beg for what is already yours. Peace, purpose, power, and protection. You are not here by accident. You are not enduring this message just to nod and go back to business as usual. God brought you here to confront, to awaken, to liberate. The pain was not for destruction, it was for redirection. God used the silence to speak louder than words. God used the absence of others to draw you closer to Himself. And now, what will you do with that truth? Will you keep giving away your light to those who only walk with you in shadows? Or will you rise not with anger, but with authority? Will you continue pretending you're okay being treated as an option? Or will you declare today enough is enough and it's time to honor the sacred presence of God within you? Because when you walk in that truth, When you walk in the awareness of who you are and whose you are, everything changes. Doors open, strength returns, peace floods, and people who are meant for you begin to find their way into your life. Not by force, but by the flow of divine alignment. Let the ones who never cared fall away like dust in the wind. But let God remain as the anchor of your soul, the fire in your spirit, and the compass for your steps. For what God is doing next in your life requires space, purity, and clarity. It requires you to be unchained from the weight of false attachments. And as you rise, you'll look back not with bitterness, but with gratitude. Because now you know when someone doesn't care, God does. When someone abandons, God remains. And when someone leaves, it simply means God is about to enter in a greater way. My dear listener, there is a fire burning in the heart of those who finally realize they were never meant to carry the weight of one-sided love. And that fire, it is not anger, it is not bitterness, it is the light of awareness that comes from God. It is the sacred flame of understanding that once you are aligned with God, you no longer tolerate what insults your soul. You begin to see through the fog. You begin to see with the eyes of clarity, not confusion. You begin to hear with the ears of truth, not flattery. And what once held you hostage loses its grip because the voice of God becomes louder than the silence of those who never cared. There is something holy about letting go, not because you are giving up, but because you are giving God permission to take control. You fought to hold on. You've reasoned. You've justified. You've waited for change. But the change you were praying for in them was always the change God wanted to do in you. You were asking for their hearts to soften while God was waiting for your spirit to awaken. And now, God is stirring something deep within you. An urgency to break the cycle, a courage to close the door, a strength to walk away from what doesn't feed your peace. You must understand this. Not everyone who leaves your life is your enemy. Some are instruments of redirection. Some are lessons wrapped in disappointment. Some are mirrors revealing what you must heal in yourself. And once their role is complete, God removes them. And when God removes, it is always for your elevation. God doesn't remove to hurt you. God removes to protect what He's building in you. You may have thought they were part of your future, but God knew they were only part of your formation. And how can God trust you with divine connections if you continue to make idols of those who hurt you? How can He pour new oil into a vessel that clings to contamination? Your destiny cannot be delayed any longer by your refusal to release. Because if you're still seeking closure from the ones who never gave you commitment, you are tying your spirit to their confusion. And confusion is not from God. God is not the author of deception, of gaslighting, of manipulation. When people use your love as leverage, when they twist your loyalty into weakness, when they disappear in your darkest hour, that is not from God. Let it be clear today, anything that cost you your peace, your purpose, your connection with God is too expensive. Anything that leaves you drained instead of nourished, anxious instead of calm, insecure instead of grounded, is a sign, a warning, a divine signal that this is not the path God has chosen for you. And no matter how much history you have with someone, if their presence now is producing harm, God is asking you to obey. Not your emotions, not your attachments, but His guidance. You see, the people who don't care about you will always play the role of confusion. They'll keep you in cycles of waiting, of guessing, of hoping, and never fulfilling. They know just how much to give to keep you tethered, but never enough to allow you peace. And this is why discernment is vital, because not every connection is from God. Some are tests to see if you truly believe what God already told you. You prayed for peace, and God gave you signs. You prayed for direction, and God allowed disappointments. You asked for confirmation, and God revealed their character. Now the answer is in your hands, And let me say this: you do not owe loyalty to anyone who uses your loyalty against you. You do not owe continued access to anyone who violates your boundaries, ignores your needs, and drains your soul. God has called you to be a good steward, not just of your finances or your time, but of your heart. And some of you are mismanaging your heart by handing it to people who have no capacity to protect it. That is not humility. That is spiritual neglect. There is no honor in constantly giving yourself to people who choose you only when it's convenient. That is not love. That is bondage. And bondage disguised as friendship is one of the enemy's most subtle traps, because it convinces you that your pain is noble, that your silence is strength, that your suffering is love. But the truth is, real love, the kind God blesses and sustains, does not hurt this way. Real connection does not leave you abandoned. Real companionship does not celebrate your failures and envy your growth. God does not desire for you to carry burdens He never assigned. And some of you are exhausted. Not because you are weak, but because you are carrying what God already told you to drop. He said, walk away, and you waited. He said, set boundaries, and you compromised. He said, protect your peace, and you silenced yourself. But now God is making it unmistakable. The discomfort in your soul is not random. It is revelation. It is God's way of saying, this is not for you. There is more ahead, but you must let go of what holds you back. And here's what you must grasp. Your spirit will never be at peace when you are entangled with people who were not assigned to your purpose. You can fake it with smiles. You can mask it with activity. But deep down, your soul knows when you are off path. God placed that compass in you, that still small voice that whispers, you deserve better. That unshakable awareness that you're shrinking in a place where you were meant to grow. That inner fire that won't be silenced by emotional crumbs. That is God pulling you toward clarity, freedom, and sacred alignment. And the moment you choose obedience over emotional attachment, your life will shift. Doors you couldn't force open will begin to swing. Weight you thought you had to carry will suddenly lift. People you once chased will fade without a fight. Because when you let go of who doesn't care, you make space for what God does. You make room for relationships where your presence is appreciated. You create margin for connections that reflect the peace and respect your soul has been starving for. So don't cry over closed doors that God Himself shut. Don't mourn people who walked out while you were trying to build a future with them. Don't lose sleep over those who had access to your heart and still chose to mistreat it. Let them go, not with hatred, but with holy clarity. Let them walk, not with bitterness, but with boundless gratitude that God stepped in and did what you couldn't. You are not a victim. You are victorious. You are not unwanted. You are divinely preserved. You are not empty. You are being prepared. And when God finishes what He started in you, those who dismissed you will not recognize the version of you that rises from this refining. Because what's coming is not just healing, it is transformation. It is strength. It is divine promotion. But first, you must obey the voice that says enough. Enough of questioning your worth. Enough of tolerating what God has exposed. Enough of crying over those who rejoice in your pain. God has greater. God has pure. God has true, but you must choose truth over familiarity. You must choose obedience over comfort. You must choose your peace over their presence. And in that moment, God will cover you. He will lift you higher. He will pour fresh breath into the very places you thought were gone forever. You will stand again, not fueled by anger, but by awe. Not carrying wounds, but carrying strength. Not chained by shame, but anchored in purpose. All because you trusted the one who never walked away. He was present when others abandoned you. He was present when the weight of sorrow felt too heavy. He was present when the silence cut deeper than any word. And He is here now, still whispering, still leading, still declaring, I have greater things ahead for you. Let that promise sink into your soul. Let that flame guide your journey. And let your heartbeat rise again, not for those who turned away, but for the one who never stopped loving you. Beloved friend, listen to me with your whole heart. This isn't just another sunrise. This isn't just another fleeting hour slipping past you. No, this is a divine interruption, a sacred proclamation, a prophetic echo reaching from eternity straight into your spirit. The waiting season is finished. The delay has been lifted. Prepare yourself for the favor of God, for the very things you've prayed for, wept for, and fought for. They are now at your doorstep. You've journeyed through valleys. You've endured nights so dark even hope seemed silent. You've stood at the brink of the cliff, with discouragement pulling at your soul and only the whisper, God win, on your lips. Heaven watched. Heaven listened and heaven acted, not on your schedule, not by your clock, but by a divine appointment. And that appointment has arrived. God is about to pour out favor so powerful it will erase years of pain in a single breakthrough moment. You were tested not because you were overlooked, but because you were handpicked. The pressure was never punishment. It was preparation. God never tests what He's not about to trust with something greater. You thought you were being buried, but God was planting you. And now the roots have grown deep enough. The foundation has been set strong enough. The wait was never wasted. It was working for your favor. Some of you feel like you've been stuck in a silent season. No signs, no wonders, no open doors. But I came to declare today, silence does not mean absence. God has not abandoned you. God has not overlooked you. Sometimes before God reveals the blessing, He hides it in a season of stillness, so you can grow into the kind of person who can carry it. But hear me now. This is the hour when the silence is breaking. The stillness is ending. God's favor is coming in waves. You didn't cry for nothing. You didn't sacrifice for nothing. You didn't forgive those who betrayed you for nothing. Every tear watered the promise. Every prayer paved the path. Every sleepless night refined your spirit. And now God is about to reward you in public for what you endured in private. The tables are turning. The door that wouldn't open before will swing wide now. Not because you forced it, but because God favors you. Favor is not about who you are. It's about who God is. God sees what people overlook. God promotes those others try to disqualify. God blesses those who are mocked, those who are underestimated, those who are counted out. If you feel invisible in this world, get ready, because God is about to shine a light so bright on your life that even your enemies will have to acknowledge it. They'll say, surely this was the hand of God. You may not have the credentials, you may not have the connections, but you've got the covering. God's favor is not something that can be explained. It's something that is seen. When God favors you, rules are broken. Protocols are suspended. Systems shift. What should have taken years happens in days. What was closed for others opens for you. What was impossible becomes your reality. That's favor. And God says, "You're next." You didn't miss your moment. You didn't mess up so badly that God changed His mind. God's favor is not dependent on your perfection. It's activated by your faith. And your faith through every struggle, every failure, every delay, every unanswered question. Your faith has been enough. It's been seen. It's been heard. And now it will be rewarded. You held on when others let go. You believed when it made no sense. You worshiped even with an aching heart. And God never forgot it. Get ready, because the very thing that tried to break you is going to bless you. The very situation that was meant to destroy you is going to define your victory. God doesn't let His people stay in the wilderness forever. There comes a day when the cloud moves, when the manna falls fresh, when the river parts and the promise becomes real. That day is here. The wait is over. Stop apologizing for being favored. Stop explaining why you survived when others sank. You survived because God carried you. You're standing because God sustained you. And now He's about to elevate you. Not for your glory, but for His purpose. You were not saved to be silent. You were not spared to stay hidden. God's favor is going to put you in rooms you didn't ask for, with opportunities you didn't chase, because favor follows obedience. There's something powerful about waiting well. When you wait with trust, you're not just wasting time, you're gaining strength. You're learning to hear God's voice. You're building spiritual muscle. So don't resent the wait. It made you ready for the favor that's about to come. Because favor without preparation is dangerous. But now you're ready. You've been refined. You've been humbled. You've been purified in the fire. And now God says, "Step forward, my child. The season has shifted. The blessing is released." People may not recognize what you've carried. They may never understand the weight you've had to lift behind closed doors, but God knows. God saw it all. And favor doesn't need approval. It doesn't require permission. When God decides to favor you, not even your past can stop it. Not even the mistakes you made in ignorance can delay it. Because when God says it's time, nothing can say otherwise. And child of God, it's time. You are not forgotten. You are not left behind. The heavens have scheduled your favor. The winds are blowing in your direction. And even though it's taken longer than you thought, it's going to be bigger than you imagined. This is not just a season, it's a shift. You're going from barely making it to more than enough. From overlooked to overflowing, from weeping to rejoicing. From broken to blessed. God's favor is not fair. It's divine. That means it won't always make sense. Some people will look at your life and wonder how you got where you are. Let them wonder. Let them talk. Let them speculate. Your job is not to explain. Your job is to worship. Your assignment is to glorify God with your life. Let your story be proof that God can lift anyone, favor anyone, use anyone, if they just believe the wait is over for your healing, the wait is over for your breakthrough, the wait is over for that long-awaited answer. You've circled this mountain long enough. You've wept beside this closed door long enough. Now God says, go forward. The Red Sea is parting. The Jordan is opening. The wall is shaking. Because favor isn't just coming to visit. It's coming to dwell. Get your heart ready. Clean your spirit. Remove bitterness. Clear the doubts. Make room in your life because the blessing is about to be too big for your current space. Enlarge your faith. Stretch your expectation. Don't look for crumbs when God is preparing a feast. You are about to feast in the presence of what once threatened to starve you. Favor is about to silence every lie, every mocker, every doubt, every delay. Do not worry about who didn't support you. Do not be bitter over who walked away. They had to leave so that God could show you who never would. They had to reject you so that God could appoint you. The ones who doubted you will soon have no choice but to watch God's favor crown your life. And they will say, "This had to be divine." Yes, it was. It is, and it will continue to be. You are not too late. You are not too old. You are not too damaged. Favor has no age limit. Favor is not restricted by your income, your background, your status, or your scars. God lifts up the lowly. He makes the weak strong. He turns the last into the first. If you've been counted out, you're exactly who God wants to count in. Hold your head high, not in arrogance, but in assurance. Assurance that God is with you. Assurance that favor is not a fantasy. It's a fact. It's written in the spiritual realm, and now it's manifesting in your reality. The pain had a purpose. The waiting had a timeline, and the timeline has reached its appointed hour. Get ready. Get ready with expectation. Get ready with praise. Don't wait for it to appear before you believe it. Believe it and it will appear. God does not move by doubt. He moves by faith. And if your faith has endured, your favor is guaranteed. When God decrees a season of favor, nothing in heaven or earth can resist it. Not the plots of people, not the systems of the world, not even the doubts in your own heart. When God speaks a word of blessing, it breaks every barrier, overrides every human opinion, and crushes every opposition. When God says enough waiting, no gate can stay closed. No hand can withhold what belongs to you. There is a sacred shift taking place in your life, and you must be bold enough to walk in it. For too long, many of you have been shrinking in fear, dimming your light to make others comfortable, holding your tongue to avoid conflict. But hear this. When God's favor is upon you, you do not have to explain your light. Shine anyway, speak anyway, rise anyway. The ones who were meant to walk with you will see the hand of God on your life, and they will rejoice with you. And the ones who can't handle it, let them go. Favor does not chase approval. It flows from the approval of God alone. Stop measuring your future by your past. You are not the mistakes you made. You are not the labels people placed on you. You are not the circumstances that crushed you. You are what God calls you: blessed, worthy, chosen, favored. The same God who watched you suffer in silence is the same God who is now bringing a breakthrough so loud it will echo into generations. And when God favors you, He doesn't just bless you, He breaks cycles. He ends generational curses. He reverses the plans of those who tried to destroy you. He builds you up so that others may find shelter in your testimony. God's favor is not about ease, it's about elevation. It lifts you beyond your limitations, stretches you beyond your comfort zone, and positions you where you never imagined you'd stand. And you must prepare your heart not just for the blessing, but for the responsibility that comes with it. Because when God favors you, He expects you to carry it with humility, to walk with integrity, to speak with courage, and to act with justice. Some of you are still questioning why now. Let me tell you, because God knows what you can handle now that you couldn't handle before. There's a strength in you that came from the suffering. There's a discernment in you that came from the betrayal. There's a fire in your spirit that came from being pushed into the furnace. And God was watching the whole time, not to punish you, but to purify you. Because only purified vessels can carry the weight of divine favor. Do not mistake quiet seasons for wasted time. In the hidden place, God was crafting something extraordinary. In the silence, He was setting divine appointments. He was aligning resources, stirring hearts, and preparing paths. While you were focused on survival, God was focused on strategy. He was making a way behind the scenes so that when the curtain lifts, your story will bring glory to His name. And now the time has come. The appointed hour has arrived. What was once invisible is about to be undeniable. There is no storm that can cancel a word spoken by God. No delay can nullify what has been divinely ordained. You see, God does not work on man's timeline. He is not pressured by clocks nor hurried by calendars. But when God moves, it's always the right time, perfect timing, divine precision. And this moment, this very moment, is no accident. If you are hearing this, it's because God wanted you to know your waiting was not in vain. His favor is now resting on your life like the early morning dew. Soft but unmistakable. Favor means acceleration. What took others years will take you months. What others had to labor endlessly for will come into your hands with ease. Not because you are better, but because God has chosen to place His hand upon you for a purpose. That's why it's crucial to stay grounded in gratitude. Favor is not a prize, it's a responsibility. It's not to boast, it's to bless. It's not just for your benefit. It's for the transformation of everything and everyone connected to you. Do not let bitterness contaminate your favor. Do not let jealousy rob you of your peace. If someone else gets blessed before you, rejoice, because it means God is in the neighborhood. And if He's moving in their life, He can surely move in yours. Celebrate others' favor as a sign that your own is on the way, because God is not limited in supply. He blesses according to purpose, not popularity, according to timing, not talent. And your time is now. There are doors you couldn't open no matter how hard you tried. You knocked, you fasted, you pleaded, still they stayed closed. But do you know why? Because God was reserving something better. He was not denying you. He was protecting you. Some of the things you begged for would have distracted you from what He truly had in store. God loves you too much to give you what looks good, but isn't His best. And now that your heart is aligned, your motives are pure, your spirit is ready, He is releasing the door that only He can open. And when He opens it, no man can shut it. Let this truth settle deep in your soul. You do not have to chase favor. You align with God, and favor chases you. You stay faithful in the field, and God will call you to the palace. You honor God in obscurity, and He will exalt you in visibility. That's how God works. He doesn't promote according to popularity. He promotes according to purpose. You have cried long enough. You have waited long enough. You have questioned long enough. Now it is time to rise, to walk boldly into what God has prepared for you. Not with arrogance, but with assurance. Not with fear, but with faith. For you are not walking into the unknown. You are walking into fulfillment. You are stepping into a realm that was crafted for you before you even knew to pray for Him. And don't be surprised if the favor of God brings you into rooms you never imagined. Don't be surprised if He causes your name to be mentioned in places where your feet have not yet walked. That's the power of divine favor. It goes ahead of you. It speaks for you. It establishes your name before you arrive. Not because of who you are, but because of who God is. And when the favor manifests, when the doors swing open, when the answers come, when the breakthroughs flood in, remember who brought you there. Do not let the blessing make you forget the blesser. Stay grounded, stay grateful, stay humble. For the same God who raised you up can sustain you, and if you honor Him with your increase, He will multiply it beyond anything you could ask or imagine. Some of you are entering into a season of restoration. What was stolen from you is about to be returned sevenfold. What was broken is about to be rebuilt stronger. The relationships that were torn, the finances that were drained, the confidence that was shattered, God is restoring it all. You will not end this year the same way you began it. God's favor will redeem the time. You will recover. You will rise. You will reign not in pride, but in purpose. Hear this with all your heart. You were born for this moment. Every trial prepared you. Every setback shaped you. Every delay taught you, and now God is trusting you with a new level. With favor comes weight. With favor comes responsibility. But don't fear the weight. God wouldn't have given it to you if He hadn't already placed the strength within you to carry it. Let your words be seasoned with grace. Let your hands be open to give. Let your spirit stay sensitive to God's direction. Because as you step into this new dimension of favor, your influence will grow, and with it the power to shift lives, to break chains, to speak life into the dry bones of others. This favor is not just for you. It is through you for the world around you. And now that the hour has come, you must prepare your mind to think differently. You must rise above the level of survival and embrace the mindset of abundance. Not material abundance alone, but abundance in strength, in peace, in clarity, in divine direction. For when God's favor comes, it doesn't just touch your outer life. It awakens something within. It revives the part of you that was crushed under years of disappointment. It breathes courage into the spaces where fear used to reside. When God moves, He revives the whole person, spirit, heart, and purpose. You must understand favor is not merely a gift. It is a divine assignment. With every blessing comes a calling, and with that calling comes the responsibility to walk with vision, to live with integrity, to speak with authority, and to serve with humility. God doesn't favor people to inflate their pride. He favors them to demonstrate His power. You are being positioned as a vessel, an instrument of hope in a generation drowning in confusion. The favor that is being poured into your life must overflow into the lives of others. It must heal, uplift, restore, and inspire. That is how the blessing multiplies. It flows outward, not inward. Do not underestimate the strategic nature of God's timing. You are not entering this moment by accident. God is deliberate. He is intentional. When He decides to lift someone, it is because there is a task that requires elevation. When He gives you more, it is because there are burdens around you that need lifting. Do not hoard the blessing. Share it. Speak into the broken. Cover the wounded. Encourage the weary. Reach out your hand to those still sinking beneath the same burdens you once bore. For the truest evidence of favor is not in how high you climb. It is revealed in how many lives you lift alongside your own. And as God's favor increases over you, opposition will come. Not everyone will rejoice in the work God is doing through you, but that is the reality of rising higher. It shines a light on the insecurity of those unwilling to move. Do not shrink back to ease their discomfort. Do not dim your flame so others can remain in shadow. Your elevation is a testimony. Your victories are a sermon. Your breakthrough shouts boldly that God still lifts, still restores, still works. And if opposition comes, let it. For when God opens a door, no resistance can shut it. That is why your heart must remain anchored in truth. Keep yourself rooted in discipline. Do not let achievement intoxicate your spirit. The favor of God is sacred. It must be revered. Guard your thoughts from pride. Guard your soul from greed. Guard your intentions from corruption. Because what has been entrusted to you is far from ordinary. It is holy. It is divine. And if you handle it with reverence, God will continue to increase you. Not just in what you have, but in who you become. Let your favor bring light, not shadows. Let it bring peace, not pride. Let it draw people toward God, not toward your ego. For the purpose of divine favor is always to fulfill the greater plan of the Almighty. You are being chosen as a carrier of purpose. And that purpose must not die in comfort. It must live in action. It must move with power. It must serve something beyond yourself. Now listen closely, because what I am about to say is for those who are stepping into places they never imagined. Be prepared to be misunderstood. Be prepared to be misjudged, but do not be discouraged. God does not require that you be understood by people, only that you be faithful to Him. Favor will often isolate you before it elevates you. It will expose who is truly for you. It will uncover hidden motives, jealous hearts, and quiet opposition. But let none of it shake you. Because if God is the one lifting you, then no weapon formed against you will succeed in pulling you down. Do not seek validation from voices that were never assigned to your life. The same ones who laughed in your season of lack may try to attach themselves in your season of increase. Be discerning. Everyone smiling at your success is not celebrating it, but you are not called to carry the weight of their approval. You are called to walk in alignment with God, and let your favor speak for itself. Let your fruit speak. Let your peace speak. Let your consistency testify. You see, when God favors you, it's not always dramatic or loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's the invisible protection that shields you from danger. Sometimes it's the inner peace that confounds the storms outside. Sometimes it's the delay that seemed like a setback, but was actually a redirection to something greater. God's favor is not always fireworks. Often it is divine precision, operating behind the scenes. But in this season, hear me, the favor will be visible. It will be unmistakable. You won't have to explain it. It will be seen in the clarity of your steps, the fruitfulness of your hands, the growth of your spirit. It will be seen in the joy that returns to your eyes and the strength that returns to your voice. You will walk in rooms and shift atmospheres. You will speak and chains will fall, not because you're great, but because God's greatness is resting on you. Stay committed to prayer. Stay rooted in reflection. Stay humble in prosperity. Favor without reverence becomes pride, but favor carried with devotion becomes a testimony. And that is what your life will be. A living testimony that God can lift the forgotten, crown the overlooked, and anoint the ordinary for extraordinary impact. And let this be clear, favor does not mean the absence of trials. It means triumph in the midst of them. It means God will walk with you through the fire and not let you be consumed. It means He will let the enemy form a weapon, but not let it prosper. It means He will stretch you, shake you, mold you, but never abandon you. Favor is the promise that you're never walking alone. Even when others disappear, even when the road is unclear, even when the night is long, God is still with you and He is for you. Some of you have been asking, why now? Why is the breakthrough coming at this point in your life? Why is the answer arriving after so many years? I'll tell you why. Because the vessel is now strong enough to carry the weight of the blessing. Had it come earlier, it would have crushed you. But now you've been fortified, you've been disciplined, you've been humbled, you've been trained. And what once would have destroyed you now propels you. The blessing didn't change. The vessel did. And that is why the weight was necessary. God always operates divine order. He never releases power before maturity, never releases authority without wisdom, never releases increase without stewardship. And now that your hands are ready, your heart is healed, your vision is aligned, God has released the favor that was always written into your story. Walk in it, declare it, live it, not with fear, not with apology, but with unwavering reverence. You are favored not by chance, but by calling. And the calling demands that you rise above pettiness, distractions, and drama. It demands that you fix your eyes on purpose, that you no longer chase approval, but pursue assignment, that you stop rehearsing your failures and start rehearsing your faith. And now that God has declared the wait is over, you must make sure your heart is not still living in yesterday. You cannot step into favor with a mind trapped in delay. The season is changed. But if you do not perceive it, you will miss the very thing you've prayed for. God has shifted the atmosphere, but you must shift your thinking. You must leave behind the identity that suffering tried to stamp upon you. You are not a victim. You are a vessel. You are not just someone who survived. You are someone God has chosen to thrive. And the moment you embrace this truth, the flow of divine favor will not just touch you, it will surround you. This is a moment for radical faith, not a safe, cautious faith that tiptoes around obedience. No, this is a time for bold, mountain-moving, risk-taking, God-honoring faith. The kind of faith that steps forward even when the next step is invisible. The kind that builds the ark before the rain comes. The kind that walks into the fire believing that even if it burns, God is still worthy. That is the kind of faith favor responds to. That is the kind of faith that breaks cycles, overturns verdicts, and silences every voice of opposition. When God decides to release favor, He doesn't ask permission. He does not consult your past. He does not take a vote. He simply moves. And when He moves, everything must bow. Timing, resources, relationships, opportunities. The wind begins to blow in your favor. And doors that seemed rusted shut begin to unlock. Hearts that were cold begin to turn. Pathways that were hidden begin to light up. Why? Because when God releases favor, even the natural realm must obey. You must prepare for this favor with integrity. Many people desire elevation, but few prepare their character to handle it. When God blesses you, what you do next reveals whether it was favor or fantasy. Favor will expose what's inside of you, It will stretch you. It will test your discipline. It will call for more prayer, not less. More humility, not applause. Because if you are not anchored in God, favor can become a trap instead of a testimony. But when you are rooted in submission and clothed in reverence, the favor that comes will not destroy you. It will define you. God's favor is precise. It doesn't land on everyone at once. It falls on those who have walked through the fire with their faith intact. It descends upon those who have served silently, given generously, and endured faithfully. God does not forget those who honored Him when there was no audience, no reward, no applause. He remembers the hidden tears, the quiet acts of obedience, the unseen sacrifices. And now He is rewarding openly what was done faithfully in secret. Let the critics come. Let the doubters whisper. Let the envious watch from a distance. They cannot stop what God has ordained. They may try to discredit you, but they cannot disqualify you. For your validation does not come from man, it comes from God. And when God favors you, even your enemies will be forced to witness it, not for your ego, but for God's glory. This is why you must not delay your obedience. When God speaks, move. When He instructs, act. When He convicts, correct. For favor is not just about receiving, it is about responding. It is not enough to celebrate the blessing. You must steward it. You must protect the environment in which favor can flourish. That means removing distractions, cutting ties with compromise, and saying no to what once felt comfortable. Because favor and complacency cannot dwell in the same house. Understand that God's favor does not mean every battle disappears. In fact, it may attract more warfare. But the difference is now you do not fight alone. Now the battle is not yours. It is God's. When you are favored, attacks will come, but they will fail. Traps will be set, but they will be exposed. Weapons will be formed, but they will not prosper. Because favor is not just about open doors. It is divine protection. It is God going before you and clearing the path even when you cannot see what's ahead. This is the moment to stretch your faith wider than your fear. To believe for things you once deemed unreachable. To step into dreams that felt too big, too bold, too delayed. Favor is not just about what you can imagine. It's about what only God could make possible. If your dream doesn't require divine intervention, it may not be rooted in divine favor. But when you're walking in true favor, doors open that you never knew existed. God will put your name in places you've never set foot. He will cause people to pour into you who don't even know why they're doing it. Because favor draws what effort alone cannot earn. Do not reduce your expectation just because of past disappointments. You may have been denied before. You may have been overlooked, misjudged, underestimated. But now it's your time. The rejection was redirection. The delay was divine development. And now that the favor is falling, your only responsibility is to be ready. Ready in your spirit, ready in your mind, ready in your actions. This is not the time to shrink. This is the time to walk boldly in what God has declared over your life. Favor will teach you who truly belongs in your life. Everyone who started with you may not finish with you. Some people were only assigned to your season of struggle, not your season of success, and that's all right. Let them go with peace, but do not grieve over what God has pruned. When God favors you, He purifies your surroundings. He removes distractions. He clears away anyone who cannot handle the weight of what is coming next. So do not mourn what you've lost. Rejoice over what you've been preserved for. The favor of God will mark your life in such a way that even places of pain will become places of praise. Where there was betrayal, God will bring loyalty. Where there was confusion, God will bring clarity. Where there was scarcity, God will bring overflow. The shift is not coming, it is already in motion. All God requires is that you believe and remain faithful. Not perfect, but faithful. Not flawless, but willing. Willing to be used, to be molded, to be led. That's all God needs to release more than you ever asked for. And now, as this divine word pierces through your soul, hear it with the urgency of a trumpet in the wilderness. God is not just opening the door, He is commanding you to walk through it. No more hesitation. No more second-guessing yourself. No more shrinking under the weight of opinions or past failures. When God says the wait is over, it's not a suggestion. It's a summons, a sacred call to rise and move into the territory that has been spiritually marked for your name. This is not a time to debate. It's a time to obey. There is a point in every chosen life where the wilderness must give way to the promise, where the wandering must bow to divine direction. And when that point comes, God does not negotiate with your comfort zone. He disrupts it. He shakes you loose from what is familiar so He can plant you in what is fruitful. You must be willing to release the pain of where you've been to receive the blessing of where you're going. You cannot bring yesterday's identity into today's opportunity. The identity of the wounded, the rejected, the overlooked, that's not who you are anymore. God has called you favored, and His word is final. Do not underestimate the power of alignment. Favor flows not just where there is desire, but where there is alignment with God's will. Too many chase favor while walking in disobedience and then wonder why the door remains closed. But God does not bless chaos. God does not favor rebellion. Favor demands surrender. You must surrender your timeline, your method, your ego, your attachments, everything. And when you do, God will pour out more than you could have ever achieved by striving alone. This is why humility must be your constant companion, because the higher you rise, the deeper your roots must grow. And if your roots are not grounded in the fear and reverence of God, the very favor that lifted you will become the weight that crushes you. But if you remain rooted in truth, in obedience, in worship, then no height will shake you. No platform will poison you. No influence will derail you. Instead, it will all point back to the one who made it possible. Let your life now reflect readiness. Let your daily actions declare to God, I am prepared to be used. Your habits, your words, your posture, let them all say, I've waited well, and now I will walk wisely. For there is no room in this next season for casual faith. You must be intentional. You must guard your mind like a fortress. You must silence every voice that contradicts what God has spoken, because where God is taking you, clarity is crucial. You cannot afford to be distracted by noise, discouraged by delay, or derailed by doubt. Understand, favor does not eliminate the process. It elevates you through it. You will still be tested. You will still face pressure. But now that pressure will no longer break you. It will build you. The process becomes the proof that the favor was real. And when others see the power in your peace, the authority in your words, and the fruit in your life, they will know it wasn't by chance. It was by the hand of God. This favor will bring restoration. Some of you have lost years to things that drained your joy, your hope, your vision. But God is a restorer. He restores the time, He restores the dignity. He restores the confidence. He restores the relationships that honor Him. And when He restores, He doesn't give you what you lost. He gives you better. Because when God restores, it comes back refined, elevated, blessed, and fortified. And don't be surprised when your environment begins to change. When people you once leaned on begin to drift. When doors you used to knock on no longer matter. Because favor doesn't just bring blessing, it brings separation. Separation from distractions. Separation from familiar spirits that kept you bound. Separation from cycles that served a lesser version of you. And though it may feel lonely for a season, it is holy. It is necessary, for you cannot enter divine territory with earthly baggage. God is calling you to walk with confidence, not arrogance, with boldness, not recklessness, with clarity, not confusion. And you must know this: the same God who brought you to this point will sustain you beyond it. He did not bring you into favor just to watch you fall. He brought you here so you could reflect His glory, so you could show what it looks like when someone puts God first in all things. Through the struggle and the victory, through the pain and the promise, this is not the end of the journey. It is the unfolding of destiny. You are not here by coincidence. Every scar, every delay, every lesson was part of a divine blueprint. And now the foundation has been set, and the structure is ready. And God is placing the crown of favor upon your head. Not a crown of pride, but a crown of purpose. Walk with it. Carry it with reverence. Live in a way that honors it. From this moment forward, make a decision in your heart. I will not go back. I will not doubt. I will not let fear rule me. I will not let failure define me. I will not trade this favor for fleeting pleasures or empty applause. I will steward what God has given me. I will rise not for my name, but for God's name. I will live not for comfort, but for calling. I will fight not with anger, but with spiritual power, because I know who brought me here, and I know who sustains me here. There is more to come. Greater territory, deeper wisdom, higher assignments in every step of the way. The favor of God will guide you like a fire in the night and a cloud by day. Do not resist the movement. Do not fear the unknown. The one who opened this door will walk through it with you. He will provide the strength. He will give the words. He will prepare the way. Because when God declares the wait is over, He also guarantees the journey ahead. So go forward boldly, faithfully, unshakably. For you are walking in a season that has been written in heaven long before you ever knew how to dream it. And now it is being fulfilled, not by might, not by wealth, not by the hands of men, but by the will and power of God alone. So now let your spirit rise and your faith stand firm, because what God has spoken over your life will not return empty. The season of waiting, the nights of weeping, the years of silence, they were not in vain. They were preparation. Every closed door was a divine shield. Every delay was a sacred lesson. And now God has declared the wait is over. Walk with reverence, speak with power, live with purpose, because you are not stepping into chance. You are stepping into the fulfillment of God's appointed time. The favor on your life is not a temporary moment. It is a mark of divine calling, and with it comes a higher standard, a deeper responsibility, and a greater outpouring. Stay humble, stay watchful, stay surrendered. For the same God who lifted you is the same God who will keep you, strengthen you, and carry you from glory to glory. Let no fear stop your forward motion. Let no voice silence your testimony. You were born for this hour, anointed for this time, chosen for this season, and now go step forward with unwavering faith. The wait is over. God's favor has come. So now let your spirit rise and your faith stand firm, because what God has spoken over your life will not return empty. The season of waiting, the nights of weeping, the years of silence, they were not in vain. They were preparation. Every closed door was a divine shield. Every delay was a sacred lesson. And now God has declared the wait is over. Walk with reverence. Speak with power. Live with purpose. Because you are not stepping into chance. You are stepping into the fulfillment of God's appointed time. The favor on your life is not a temporary moment. It is a mark of divine calling. And with it comes a higher standard, a deeper responsibility, and a greater outpouring. You must walk differently now. You must speak from a place of conviction, not hesitation. You must move with clarity, not confusion. What was once a hope has now become a holy reality. You have crossed a line in the Spirit where delay no longer defines you. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are right where God intended for you to be. And everything He promised is now being activated in your life. Not because of who you are, but because of who He is. Hold fast to your integrity. Guard your peace. Protect your time. Be deliberate with your choices. For favor attracts attention, and with attention comes distraction. But if you stay rooted in the fear of God, no storm will shake you, no voice will move you, and no power will remove what God has established. Lift your eyes and take it in. What stands before you is holy ground. This is more than receiving a blessing. You are being set apart as a beacon, a voice, a foundation for others to lean upon. The grace resting on your life was never meant for you alone. It is the channel through which God will move. Families will find restoration because you chose obedience. Generations will shift because you refuse to give up. The wounded will discover healing through the power of your testimony. So stand with courage. Speak with assurance. Rise with a humble heart. You are not in the waiting anymore. You are moving. You are creating. You are entering into what was designed for you before the beginning of time. And as you press forward, remember, the very God who sustained you in the waiting is the same God who will stand beside you in the victory. This is your moment. This is your appointed hour. Heaven has opened its gates. The season has turned. God's favor is not on the way. It has already arrived. The waiting has ended. And now your new chapter unfolds. My friend, let me ask you this with all sincerity. With the weight of eternity pressing on this very moment, are you truly letting God direct every single day of your life? Or have you been drifting through your hours on autopilot, letting fear, doubt, pride, and the noise of this world tell you who you are and where to go? I speak this with a heart ignited by truth. Until you surrender to God's leading each day, you will remain restless, wandering, searching, and never finding peace. There is a deep stillness that only comes when your soul is aligned with its Creator. And that stillness is not in wealth, not in power, not in relationships, not in achievements. It comes when you stop steering your own life and allow God to take the reins of your heart. Until you hand Him that control, until you humble yourself and bow to His will, you will always be guided by something smaller. And whatever leads you will shape you. If it isn't God, it's the world. And the world has no mercy for your soul. Every morning, from the moment you wake up, two paths lie before you. The path of surrender or the path of self. One leads to purpose and peace, the other to confusion and destruction. And too many people, even those who say they believe, choose self. They wake up and instead of asking God, "Where would you have me go today? What would you have me do?" They rush into their plans, chasing things that will crumble, answering to people who don't care for their soul, filling their mind with noise, and silencing the voice of God with their own ambitions. But hear me clearly, you were never created to lead your life on your own. That was never the design. God made you with a blueprint, and that blueprint requires His voice guiding every single step. Not just in moments of crisis, not just when your plans fall apart, not just when you're desperate and broken. Every day, every hour, every breath. There is a power that comes when you let God lead you. And it's not the power the world brags about. It's not the kind that puffs up with pride. It's not loud or flashy. It's a quiet, unshakable confidence that says, "I may not know what tomorrow holds, but I know who holds it, and I will walk in step with Him." That kind of peace shakes the gates of hell. That kind of obedience confuses the enemy, because when you are led by God, you cannot be manipulated by man. Let me tell you something about this world. It will try to program you. It will try to script your life, define your worth, tell you who you should be, what you should chase, what you should desire. But God never speaks through chaos. He speaks through conviction, through clarity, through peace, through purpose. When you are tuned into His voice, you stop being driven by the noise around you. You become anchored. You become stable. You become unmovable. And that's the secret. Stability does not come from control. It comes from surrender. I have seen people lose everything and still walk with joy because they were led by God. I have seen others gain everything and still feel empty because they were led by self. What you follow matters more than what you have, because what you follow becomes your God. And if it isn't God leading you, then something else is. And that something else will always lead you into a wilderness you were never meant to enter. There is a deep longing inside every human heart, a longing to be led. And you may not admit it, but it's there. You were never meant to be the master of your fate. That is too heavy a burden for any soul. You were meant to follow God with your whole heart. Not half, not occasionally, not when it's convenient, but daily, fully, completely. God does not want part-time loyalty. He's not looking for weekend devotion. He wants your surrender Monday through Sunday, from sunrise to sunset, and all through the long, quiet nights. Because God knows what lies ahead. You don't. And when He leads with purpose. He leads with precision. He doesn't guess. He knows who needs to walk with you and who needs to walk away. He knows what battles you should fight and which ones you need to be still and let Him handle. He knows where the danger is hiding and where the blessing is waiting, but you'll never know unless you let Him lead. Too many people pray for God's blessing while still holding the wheel. You cannot ask for divine direction while clinging to your own map. That's not surrender. That's contradiction. If you want God's best, you must be willing to drop your plan and trust His path, even when it's unfamiliar, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's unpopular. Let me speak clearly to the one who feels stuck. You've tried everything. You've done it your way. You've pushed and pulled and begged and worked until your hands bled. And still the peace escapes you. Maybe, just maybe, it's because you're still trying to leave yourself. Stop. Stop wrestling. Stop striving. Stop resisting. Let God lead you. There is a rhythm to the life that follows God. It doesn't move in panic. It doesn't race in fear. It moves in wisdom, in purpose, in discernment. Every step ordered, every move measured, every door opened at the right time, every delay full of hidden protection. That's the kind of life you were made for. A life not led by emotion, but by God's voice. And don't you let the devil lie to you. Don't you let your past tell you you're unworthy to be led by God. Don't you let shame keep you in the dark. God doesn't call the perfect. He leads the surrendered. He's not looking for performance. He's looking for trust. He's not impressed by how strong you act. He moves when you finally admit how much you need Him. When you truly allow God to lead you, you stop needing approval from people. You stop chasing validation. You stop measuring your worth by the standards of this temporary world. Because the one who is led by God knows I am already chosen, already seen, already guided by the one who knows the end from the beginning. That kind of faith breaks chains. That kind of obedience sets you apart. But don't mistake God's leading for comfort. Sometimes He will lead you through fire, not to burn you, but to purify you. Sometimes He will lead you into storms, not to destroy you, but to reveal that He is your anchor. Sometimes He will lead you into isolation, not to punish you, but to separate you from what's been poisoning your soul. God's leading will not always make sense, but it will always make you stronger. It will always take you higher. It will always grow your character and sharpen your purpose. You see, the blessing is not in the destination. The blessing is in the guidance, knowing that every step I take is not random, but directed by the hand of the Almighty. That's where the strength comes from. That's where the peace is born. I can walk through the valley. I can sit in the waiting. I can face the opposition because I know God is leading me. And there is no greater honor than to be led by God. Not led by fame, not led by money, not led by the crowd, but led by the quiet, powerful whisper of God that speaks to your heart and says, "This is the way, walk in it." How many blessings have been missed because someone refused to listen? How many storms could have been avoided if you had just stopped long enough to say, "God, what would you have me do?" But the beautiful truth is, it's not too late. No matter how far you've wandered, no matter how long you've led yourself, no matter how broken your past has been, God is still ready to lead you right now, this very moment. But you must choose. He won't force you. He won't drag you. He invites. He calls. He waits. And when you answer, when you finally lay your pride down and say, "God, I can't do this without you," heaven begins to move. Every giant begins to fall. Every lie starts to unravel. Every fear begins to lose its grip. Because when God leads, He leads in truth, in light, in victory. Not always easy, but always right, always purposeful, always filled with what your soul was truly craving all along. Let this settle deep within your heart. If you don't allow God to lead you, then you will be led by something far more dangerous, your own desires. And the heart, when left to its own understanding, will always drift toward destruction. You cannot trust your emotions to guide you. You cannot lean on your feelings to define your truth. One day you'll feel strong, the next day weak. One moment confident, the next consumed by anxiety. But God is unchanging, eternal, flawless in wisdom. And when you are led by Him, you are no longer at the mercy of your fluctuating feelings. You are planted. You are grounded. You are walking a path carved by divine hands. The world teaches self-reliance. It celebrates independence. It glorifies doing things your way. But that mindset is the very root of spiritual blindness. True freedom is not found in leading yourself. It's found in submission to the one who made you. You were not created to carry the full weight of your decisions on your own shoulders. God did not design your mind to bear the burden of life's uncertainties alone. That's why He calls you to trust Him. That's why He beckons you into daily dependence, not as a sign of weakness, but as the highest act of wisdom and strength. When God leads, He does not just show you the way. He becomes your way. He does not just give direction, He becomes your direction. Every morning you rise, He is already there. Every night you lay your head down, He is still watching. He is not distant. He is not indifferent. He is near to the one who seeks His guidance. He honors those who humble themselves and cry out, "God, without you, I am lost." There is nothing more dangerous than delayed obedience. Many people say they are waiting on God, but in reality, God is waiting on them to surrender, to obey, to let go. God has already paved the way, already placed the provision, already cleared the storm. But until you step under His leadership, you will never walk in what He has prepared. He does not force His will upon the proud. He speaks to the one whose heart is bowed in reverence and readiness. Let me tell you this plainly. God will lead you where your talent cannot take you, where your education cannot open doors, where your background has no influence. Because when He leads, He bypasses man-made qualifications. He elevates the lowly. He promotes the forgotten. He establishes the rejected. That is the power of divine direction. He doesn't need your resume. He needs your willingness. You see, being led by God isn't just about big life decisions. It's about every single moment. It's about the attitude you choose when someone wrongs you. It's about the way you speak when no one is listening. It's about the thoughts you entertain when you're alone. God doesn't want to lead you just in the crossroads. He wants to lead you in the silence, in the stillness, in the ordinary. That's where real character is formed. That's where the fire of true faith is built. And I must speak directly to the soul who feels forgotten, abandoned, left behind. Listen to me. God has not ignored your cry. He has not missed a single tear. But sometimes He leads through delay, not because He is cruel, but because He is protecting what is sacred. He is pruning what is poisonous. He is developing in you what shallow blessings could never produce. You think you're waiting, but God is working. And when you let Him lead, even the waiting becomes holy ground. Too often people pray for God's direction, but they don't prepare to obey it. Don't ask God to lead you if you're not willing to leave behind what's holding you back. God cannot direct a life that clings to the very things He wants to remove. Obedience means letting go even when it hurts, trusting when it doesn't make sense, moving when the path is not fully visible. That is faith, and faith without action is just taught. If you want to experience the fullness of God's leadership, you must die to your own agenda, not once, but every single day. You must wake up and say, "God, override my plans. Cancel what needs to be canceled. Rearrange what I cannot see. Interrupt me if you must, but don't let me walk a path you haven't ordained." That is the kind of surrender that makes the heavens move. That is the heart God delights in. Not perfection, not performance, but total trust. You must also understand this. When God leads you, He will often take you the long way, not the fast way. He will lead you through discomfort to train your endurance. He will lead you through scarcity to teach you provision. He will lead you through rejection to show you where true value comes from. These are not detours. They are divine training grounds. And those who are truly led by God know that His delays are not denials. They are refinements. They are sacred seasons where your spirit is being strengthened. And when God leads you, He doesn't just guide your feet, He renews your mind. You begin to see life differently. The things that once enticed you no longer tempt you. The distractions that once pulled you begin to fade. Your cravings shift. Your focus sharpens, because the closer you walk with God, the less room there is for noise. He filters your desires. He reorders your passions. He fills your soul with purpose. And that purpose becomes your compass. Let me ask you again, who is leading you? What voice is shaping your decisions? If it isn't God, then you are being led by something unworthy of your soul. Because only God sees the whole picture. Only God knows what lies beneath the surface. People may flatter you, deceive you, mislead you, but God sees what man cannot. And when He leads, He doesn't just lead you to opportunity. He leads you away from danger. He blocks what you were never meant to receive. He closes doors that look good on the outside but are empty on the inside. He disappoints your flesh to protect your future. You must learn to thank God not just for open doors, but for closed ones. Because sometimes the very thing you prayed for was not a blessing, it was a distraction. And in His mercy, God said no. That is leadership. That is love. That is the kind of guidance that saves your life, even when it stings your pride. And let's be honest, it takes courage to let God lead. It takes boldness to go against the grain, to walk by faith when others walk by sight, to be still when others run, to trust the invisible hand of God more than the visible approval of man. But hear me, God never abandons the one who follows Him with a pure heart. He will make a way where there is no way. He will bring water from dry ground. He will raise you up when the world counts you out. But you must be consistent. Not 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Not faithful when it's easy and doubting when it's hard. You must walk in step with God through every season, through the mountain and the valley, through the joy and the sorrow. Because leadership from God is not seasonal. It's a lifestyle, a sacred alignment, a daily communion. And when you live like that, you begin to carry a power that nothing on earth can replicate. The power of a soul led by God. And so, my friend, don't delay. Don't harden your heart. Don't ignore the whisper. God is calling you right now to follow Him more deeply than ever before. Not casually, not occasionally, but completely, because what He wants to do in your life cannot be done through partial obedience. What He wants to build in you requires full surrender. You may not know every step ahead, but when you know who is leading, you don't need to. You walk with trust. You move with reverence. You live with peace. And I must say this not to stir emotion, but to awaken the slumbering soul. There is no greater tragedy than a life lived outside the leadership of God. You can possess the finest education, the largest bank account, the highest accolades, and still be wandering in the dark. Because success without direction is just noise. Movement without meaning is just exhaustion. But when God leads you, your steps are no longer random. They are ordered. Every encounter becomes divine. Every delay becomes intentional. Every setback becomes a setup for something higher. That is the difference between living and simply existing. The truth many avoid is this: it takes discipline to be led by God. This isn't a path for the lazy or the double-minded. This is a walk that demands your whole heart, because the world is full of distractions, constant temptations pulling you in every direction, opinions, trends, fears. You cannot follow God with divided focus. You cannot walk with one eye on the world and one on the path of righteousness. The soul must choose. And when you choose to follow God, you must train your spirit to listen above the noise, to stay still in the storm, to trust when others panic, to walk slowly when the world is rushing. Let me tell you something few dare to say. God's direction will often cost you comfort. It may cost you friends. It may cost you opportunities. It may even cost you admiration, but it will give you something no man can offer. Peace that flows like a river, clarity that pierces confusion, and strength that holds you when everything around you collapses. The reward for obedience is not just the outcome. It's the unshakable presence of God that walks beside you through every twist of the journey. And we're not created to be led by trends. You were not created to be molded by fear. You were created to be shaped by the hand of the Almighty. And when you resist His leading, you resist your very design. You rob yourself of the life you were born to live. You settle for imitation instead of destiny. And destiny can only be fulfilled under God's command. So I ask you again, not with judgment, but with urgency, who is charting your course? When you wake up, whose voice do you seek? When decisions weigh heavy, whose wisdom do you lean on? When the unknown stares you down, do you reach for man, or do you fall on your knees and say, God, I will not take one step unless you lead me? Because there is power in that kind of surrender. Power that breaks generational chain. Power that silences every lie. Power that causes heaven to move on your behalf. God does not lead aimlessly. He leads with purpose. And when you place your hand in His, your life takes on a divine rhythm. You begin to walk not just through the world, but above it. Temptation loses its grip. The opinions of others lose their power. The chaos of the world no longer shakes you. Why? Because your eyes are fixed. Your heart is anchored. Your soul is led by the one who is eternal. Let me speak directly to the dreamer, the visionary, the one with burning purpose but paralyzed steps. You've been trying to make it happen by force. You've been chasing results without direction. But your gift alone is not enough. It must be surrendered to the leadership of God. Because when He leads, He doesn't just make a way. He transforms you along the way. He prepares you for what you are praying for. He builds your character before He delivers your calling. He establishes your foundation before He enlarges your territory. And to the one who is tired, who has followed and not yet seen the fruit, I say this to you: God's guidance is not measured by immediate results, but by eternal impact. You may not see what He's doing yet, but that doesn't mean He's not working. In fact, the longer the preparation, the greater the purpose, the deeper the surrender, the higher the elevation. And when He finally reveals what He's been building in the dark, it will be so much greater than anything you could have constructed on your own. But you must continue. You must not retreat. You must walk. Even when the path is dim, even when your legs tremble, even when the voices around you say, give up, because the one who is led by God cannot be stopped by man. Obedience always opens doors that hustle never could. Faithful steps move mountains. That force cannot budge. And know this, God never gives partial guidance. When He leads, He does so completely. If you only hear fragments, it's not because God is unclear, it's because distraction has deafened your ear. You must tune your spirit, quiet your flesh, purify your motive. Then the voice becomes clear, the steps become sure, the direction becomes undeniable. Don't let familiarity fool you. Just because you've walked a certain path before doesn't mean God is leading you there again. Just because it worked last season doesn't mean it's meant for this one. Being led by God requires constant sensitivity. You cannot live on yesterday's instructions. You need fresh guidance, new direction, daily surrender, because each day brings new battles, new assignments, and new levels of responsibility. And hear me now, you are not too broken to be led. You are not too lost to be found. You are not too late to begin. God is not limited by your past. He is not intimidated by your weakness. He is not disappointed in your journey, but He will not compete with your pride. He waits for the humble heart. He responds to the surrendered soul. The instant you declare, God, not my will, but yours, everything around you begins to shift. You step back into alignment with your true calling. You leave behind confusion and step into clarity. And I say this with conviction, burning deep within my spirit. If you genuinely desire to see God's power manifest in your life, you must stop bargaining with His instructions. Stop deciding which commands you feel like obeying. Stop filtering His direction through your comfort and convenience. You cannot walk in the fullness of His guidance while clinging to half-hearted obedience. The road to greatness is narrow, not because God is harsh, but because He is intentional. He wastes no step. He gives no careless command. Every word He speaks is meant to protect you. Every directive is designed to lift you higher. Every pause is preparing you for what's ahead. God does not speak to entertain you. He speaks to align you. And when He gives a word, it is not for your entertainment. It is for your transformation. His direction demands response, and not just words from your lips, but movement from your spirit. Because true obedience doesn't wait for convenience. It moves at the sound of God's whisper. And when you learn to move at His voice, you unlock blessings that no eye has seen, no ear has heard, and no mind could ever imagine. But many miss this. They want God to speak clearly, but they haven't created space for Him to speak at all. They fill their lives with distractions, their minds with noise, their days with hurry, and then wonder why they feel lost. God does not shout over chaos. He speaks in stillness. He leads those who are willing to slow down, to be quiet, to seek His face above all. If you want divine direction, you must cultivate divine devotion. You must hunger for God's guidance more than you hunger for the opinions of men. And hear this, God will not lead a heart that is still chasing idols. You cannot be led by God while being ruled by greed. You cannot be guided by the Almighty while being chained to bitterness, to ego, to lust, to fear. These things cloud your spirit. They block your discernment. Oh, they corrupt your perspective. And God, in His mercy, will often strip away those attachments, not to punish you, but to free you, because He cannot pour destiny into a vessel that's already full of pride. When God begins to lead you, He also begins to cleanse you. He will refine your motives. He will expose your intentions. He will reveal what has been hiding in the corners of your soul, not to shame you, but to sanctify you. Because His leadership is not just about external decisions, it's about internal purification. He's not only concerned with where you're going, He's deeply invested in who you are becoming. And the more you surrender, the more He shapes you. The more you yield, the more He molds your spirit into strength. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, think differently. Not because you're trying harder, but because you're being led by something higher. You no longer need to force outcomes, manipulate people, or chase affirmation. God becomes your compass, your confidence, your source. You are no longer driven by pressure. You are driven by purpose. Let me make it plain. God's leadership will often challenge you before it blesses you. It will require sacrifice. It will confront comfort. It will dismantle pride. But every painful shift is preparing you for the weight of the calling that's ahead. Every instruction you obey, even when it hurts, is like a seed planted in faith that will one day produce fruit so abundant it will overflow into generations. But the seed must fall at the ground and die. Your plans must die. Your timelines must die. Your expectations must be placed on the altar. Because the one who is led by God must walk by faith, not by sight. Faith doesn't demand a roadmap. It demands trust. And trust is tested when the way is unclear. When the path looks barren, when the next step feels risky, that is where true surrender is born. Not in the sunlight of clarity, but in the shadows of uncertainty. Where you choose to say, God, I don't see the outcome, but I know your character. I trust your heart more than I fear the unknown. That's where transformation begins. That's where faith becomes real. Not in theory, but in practice. Not in lip service, but in life lived on the edge of divine dependence. That is the fire God uses to burn away the shallow life you've known and replace it with something eternal. That is how you are forged into a vessel worthy of His power. And once you begin to walk like this, something shifts. You stop asking God to bless your plan and start asking Him to reveal His to you. You stop demanding answers and start listening for His whispers. You stop praying for comfort and start asking for courage. You no longer want what's popular. You want what's pure. You no longer fear being alone because you've tasted the sweetness of walking with God. And you know that one moment of His direction is better than 1,000 days of wandering and success without Him. Some of you have been stuck in cycles, repeating seasons that should have ended years ago, not because God is punishing you, but because you've resisted His leadership. You've prayed. Yes, you've gone through the motions, but you've refused to change. You've clung to your own understanding. You've followed your own emotions. And until you fully release control, you will never step into the new thing God is trying to birth in your life. But here's the hope. It's not too late to begin again. God is still speaking. He's still calling. He's still leading. But He's waiting on you to respond. He's waiting on you to say, enough of my way, enough of empty striving, enough of delayed obedience. God, I'm ready not to understand but to follow, not to control but to trust, not to lead but to be led. That's when the breakthrough comes. That's when the confusion lifts. That's when the right doors begin to open. Not because you kicked Him down, but because you waited for the key. God's timing is perfect. His methods are flawless. His plans are detailed with wisdom beyond human comprehension. And when you align yourself with Him, you step into a flow of divine favor that cannot be earned, only received through obedience. So listen closely. Don't look for shortcuts, no. Don't rush what God is refining. Don't compare your journey to anyone else's. The path He has for you is sacred, specific, and saturated in purpose. And when you let Him lead, even your detours become holy. Even your trials become teachers. Even your tears become the water that nourishes the seeds of destiny. Let this sink deep into your spirit. Being led by God is not a one-time decision. It's a daily posture, a continuous surrender, a life that whispers again and again, God, I trust you more than I trust myself. And in that surrender, there is power. In that trust, there is peace. In that obedience, there is protection. So wherever you are, no matter how far you feel, no matter what mistakes you've made, lift your eyes to the heavens and declare with all your heart, God, I am ready to follow you fully, faithfully, and fearlessly. And watch what He does. Watch how He shifts things you thought were immovable. Watch how He restores what you thought was lost. Watch how He creates beauty from brokenness. Not because you deserve it, but because you finally let Him lead. And now I speak to the hidden parts of you, the places you keep guarded, the battles you fight in silence, the questions that haunt you when the world grows quiet. You wonder why your life feels heavy. You wonder why doors don't open. You wonder why, despite all your effort, your soul remains. Let me tell you the truth that breaks chains when you resist God's leadership. You resist your own healing. When you block His guidance, you block the peace you've been begging for. It's not that God is far. It's not that He is silent. It's that the noise of your own control has drowned out His direction. You must understand God will never compete for space in your life. He is not a background voice, and He is not an accessory to your ambition. He is the source, the sustainer, the one who gives life meaning. And until you make room for Him to lead, everything else will remain out of alignment. You can dress it up, you can decorate your schedule with distractions, but your soul will still whisper the truth. I need God to lead me. This is not weakness. This is not failure. This is the deepest kind of wisdom to acknowledge that without God, even success becomes slavery. Even fame becomes emptiness. Even love becomes temporary because the foundation is unstable. But when God leads, when He truly becomes the one who orders your every step, your life becomes anchored in something eternal. I say this with urgency. You cannot fake being led by God. And you may fool people. You may impress crowds. You may even convince yourself for a season, but your spirit knows, and it will ache. It will grow restless because you were not created for a life of self-navigation. You were created to walk in communion with your Creator. That is why, until you surrender your will to His, you will keep circling the same mountains, repeating the same mistakes, feeling the same emptiness. And some of you are asking, but how do I let God lead me? You start by removing the idols. Remove the voices that drown out His whisper. Remove the habits that quench your awareness of Him. Remove the pride that tells you that you know better. God will not force His way into a heart that refuses to make room. His leadership begins where your resistance ends. Not through performance, but through humility. Through an honest heart that cries out, God, I've tried it, my way, and I can't anymore. Take the lead. And when He begins to lead you, He will not always take you the way you expected, but He will always take you the way you need. He may not give you the shortest route, but He will give you the strongest character. He may not rush you to the destination, but He will build the strength in you to handle what's waiting. Because God does not just prepare the blessing, He prepares the vessel. and you are that vessel. Let me tell you what happens when God leads. Confusion begins to lift. That weight on your chest, it begins to ease. Not because every problem disappears, but because your soul is no longer wandering. You begin to hear clearly. You begin to see purpose in places you once saw only pain. You become more than reactive. You become prophetic. You begin to anticipate with faith instead of react with fear. That is the power of alignment. But make no mistake, when God leads you, the world will not always understand. People may question your decisions. They may label your obedience as foolishness. But you must remember, God did not call them to your path. He called you. And when you are led by God, you no longer need approval from those who are blind to your vision. You no longer need validation from those who can't see the voice that called you forward. And you must not fear the cost, because yes, it will cost you. It will cost comfort. It will cost popularity. It may cost opportunities. But whatever God asks you to release, it is only because He is making space for something far greater. He is pruning the branch so it can bear more fruit. He is cutting ties that were quietly choking your purpose. He is removing what seemed good so He can give you what is divine. Let me speak now to the one who has been led by God but has grown weary. You obeyed, you trusted, and yet the breakthrough hasn't come. The harvest hasn't appeared. Listen carefully. Delay is not denial. Silence is not abandonment. When God leads, He sometimes leads you through the wilderness. Not to punish you, but to prove you, to fortify your spirit, to purify your intentions. The wilderness is not the end. It is the place between promise and possession. And those who endure, those who stay faithful in the quiet, will see a glory no man can take away. There is a weight to being led by God, but there is also a reward beyond anything the world can offer. You will walk with authority, not worldly authority, but divine authority. You will speak with weight because your words will come from a place of alignment, not ambition. You will live with clarity because your decisions are not made in haste, but in step with eternity. You will carry peace not because life is perfect, but because your heart is in sync with the one who holds all things. So do not shrink back. Do not harden your heart. Do not hesitate at the crossroads. Choose the narrow way. Choose the quiet way. Choose the way that demands sacrifice but leads to glory. Choose to be led not by flesh, not by fear, not by the opinions of others, but by God alone. Let your mornings begin with surrender. Let your days be guided by His whispers. Let your nights be filled with reflection on His hand moving in unseen ways. And when storms come, you won't be shaken. When enemies rise, you won't be afraid because you'll know you are not alone. You are not lost. You are led. And if you hold on to that, if you live from that truth, if you follow with full faith, God will take you places you never dreamed possible. He will open doors no man can shut. He will raise you in due season. He will protect you from dangers you never even knew existed. He will surround you with peace that transcends understanding. And He will fulfill His purpose in you, not because you are perfect, but because you are surrendered. That is the kind of life worth living. That is the kind of journey worth walking. That is the kind of leadership worth trusting. So today, this moment, this breath, let it be the turning point. Let it be the day you say once and for all, God, take over, guide me, shape me, lead me, and then walk boldly because your steps are now held in the hands of the Almighty. So now let this truth anchor your soul. There is no safer place, no higher calling, and no greater peace than being led by God. Not just in the moments when life is calm, but especially in the storms, especially in the silence, especially in the uncertainty. For when God leads, you are never walking blindly. You are walking in divine order. You are not lost. You are being positioned. You are not overlooked. You are being prepared. You are not delayed. You are being developed. And so I urge you from the depths of my spirit, make this the day you stop striving and start surrendering. Let go of the need to control the pressure to please, the fear of the unknown. Lift your heart and declare with unwavering resolve, God, I will no longer lean on my own understanding. I will no longer be moved by noise or fear. I will be led fully, freely, and faithfully by you alone. In the end, what defines your legacy is not the wealth you've gathered, but the surrender you've shown. Not the distance you've traveled, but how faithfully you walked beside the one who formed you. May your life echo with faith, obedience, and steadfast trust in God's direction. Let each step, each word, each choice declare the truth that you were never your own. You have always belonged to Him, guided by His hand, shielded by His mercy, and propelled by His purpose. As you journey forward, remember this unshakable truth. When God moves, no power can restrain you. No enemy can overcome you. No barrier can hold you back. You rise not by strength, not by might, but through the will of the Almighty breathing through you. Surrender to God's lead and watch your life shine as a living testimony of His glory. Up.